Well, hello, beautiful ones. It's Stacey here, the head vixen of the Vixen Academy. And the Vixen Academy is your place for feminine leadership training, the sassy and provocative way, because here we do it through the divine art of seduction and charisma from the bedroom to the boardroom. And so on this edition of Musing from Stacey, I kind of like that title. I may start using that a little bit more, so stay tuned. But as I was doing some things in my new home. As you know, the tiny vixen is here. And like I've shared with many of you, that I am practicing the concept of wabi sabi, not only in design, but also in my life. And so for those of you who are not familiar with the concept of wabi sabi, it is a Japanese term. And just real quickly, it means to see the beauty and the gift of imperfection, right? Because what happens is perfectionism is a trap. And, Japanese design and the culture there is well known for doing things at such a high caliber. But what they do is they always do something on purpose that's a little bit off. And the reason why they do that is to remind people that nothing is perfect and it's still beautiful anyway. So as I'm going in this new journey in my life, I decided, okay, you know what? Let me extend practicing wabi sabi, not just in design, but really looking at that in my entire life. You know me, I'm always playing around with concepts, trying out different things, seeing what works. I'm a coach. And then I look and see how does it work in my life. And then I share it with my clients and students. So as I've been practicing, the wabi sabi, seeing the beauty and the gift of imperfection, here is something interesting I noticed about myself. I notice how often I actually say the word perfect. And it just really shocked me. And I realized that it is really this unconscious thing that we literally learn in society by saying the word perfect for anything. And what happens is, as I was going through this and seeing how often I say the word perfect, it really reminded me of it's keeping me in the perfectionist mindset subconsciously on little things. And this is how sneaky the ego is. Because what happens is saying something is perfect or really even dealing with the perfectionist mindset, it really isn't acknowledging your needs, your wants, or your desires, right? What happens is perfectionism is about control. Always remember that. Perfectionism is about control. Wanting something a specific way is about control. And what happens is that keeps you tied up in anxiety, in worry, in doubt, as well as, oh, what are other people going to think? If it's not perfect, what are other people going to say, right? We've all been there, we've all done that. And so as I'm practicing, wabi sabi, the gift of imperfection, I have that on top of mine. And that's what I notice how often I say perfect. Now, here's the other thing that I noticed about all this. By continuing to say the word perfect, it's almost as if, how I can say this, it's almost as if, say, for example, someone who is alcoholic going to a 12-step program, and then they say, oh, one more drink is not going to hurt me, right? We all know that is not good advice. That is not the right thing to do because they will definitely backslide because they can't just have one drink. So this is no different than someone who is healing themselves of the perfectionist disease. Healing yourself of that, but then continuing to say, oh, this is perfect, that's perfect, and everything else, it's almost the same exact thing. So I really was like, oh my word, what the heck, right? So I was like, okay, Stacey, let's kind of look at this. And so what I came up with there, I want to share these two hacks with you, but it's almost like a two-step process because it really depends on where you are in your healing journey. The first process is going to be maybe a little bit easier than the second one. Like I said, it just kind of depends on where you are in your healing journey. But what happens is I want to share a couple of things with you. And I want you to also then try this on for yourself And then also check within your body to see how this feels to you, right? So the first thing here is I want to share with you how you can actually detach from using the word perfect. All right. Because the ego mind is caught up in things being perfect. The ego mind is caught up in wanting things a specific way. And if the ego mind does not get what it wants, it throws a temper tantrum and all those shenanigans. Where an adult temper tantrum is called creates drama in your life, right? So that's an adult temper tantrum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a hack that will help you detach from using the word perfect. And by doing this, you even personalize it more for yourself so that you can embody more of what you like and more of what you love. And by embodying more of what you like and love, that is what you send out to the universe, and you will receive more of that in return. All right. So play with this a little bit. So this is how you can replace and stop using the word perfect so that you can truly release yourself from the perfectionist disease. So here are a couple of suggestions, and this is part one. So like I said, depending on where you are in your healing journey, so let me explain that first of all. So if you've been on a personal development healing journey for several years, right? You can do part one and you can do part two. You should be able to do part two with a lot more ease. If you are just starting your healing journey, if you are just starting to release the grip of perfectionism in your life, then I suggest that you stay with part one for a while until it becomes your new habit. And then you can move on to part B, because then it'll be easier for you in that case. So here we go. So here's what I want you to try on. Instead of using the word perfect, I invite you to say this: I love this. I love listening to musing from Stacey. It just really invigorates and provides me with inspiration, right? So see everything that entails, right? I love musing from Stacey. You're going to be more engaged with it. Here's another way of you can wording that. This is just what I wanted. Instead of saying perfect, this is just what I wanted. Now, when you say what I wanted, guess what? The universe will give you more of that, right? Because you said, this is just what I wanted. So the universe will give you more of that. Here's another way you can word this or reframe from using perfect. This satisfies my needs and my wants. This satisfies my wants. This satisfies my hunger. This satisfies my heart. Whatever that is, you're making it more personal to you, right? And here's another one I want to throw out there for you. This is just what I was looking for, right? This is just what I was looking for, right? And when you say that, it brings more of what you were looking for into your life. Now, what I'd like for you to do here is I want you to feel the energy difference in those statements versus just saying, this is perfect. Now, this is perfect is more detached from the connection between yourself and your experience. Okay? All you're doing is reinforcing perfectionism. All you're doing is reinforcing the word perfect, right? And so when you're using these other ways of expressing your excitement for receiving something that you truly wanted, that energy and that embodiment really is what gets fueled with inside of you. So what happens is, like I said, if you are just on this perfectionist kicking, train, this is part one that I invite you to do, because you are shifting your habits in the way that you think. Now, here's one of the things that I did, and I'm continuing to do still. is I've been watching how many times I say the word perfect. I've been catching myself, and then I do that reframe of saying, I love this, whatever it is that I received. This is just what I wanted, whatever it is that I wanted. So I have been, as soon as I catch myself, I say one of those phrases. All right. As soon as I catch myself. And then I want you to do it for 2 weeks. And then say to yourself, how differently do you feel? Do you feel more content and happier with life? And you may say, you know what? I don't know, but I'm feeling much more relaxed in life. And you may not be aware why that is, but I'm sure it has something to do with the connection of you dropping using the word perfect as much as you used to. All right. Now, what happens is here is part 2 of detaching from the word perfect. So after you practice using reframing and using other ways of expressing your joy in what it is that you received, taking it a step deeper and being that spiritual warrior, as I say, and you're really going to be challenging the ego mind on this one, it's actually even removing the word or reference to I from what it is that brought you joy. Now, this one is a little bit more of a mind bender. This is coming also from my Buddhist training of how they teach detachment. So how they view in that cosmology is, and you hear this in a lot of spiritual circles, they say you are a human being having a spiritual experience, or you're a spiritual being having a human experience, is really what they say. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. And at first, some people may say, I really don't understand what that means. And here's what that means in terms of from a Buddhist mindset. You reference yourself almost like a third person. So this is what that would sound like. This person that is Stacey loves that she received this gift from so-and-so, right? So they would say, this person that is Stacey. Stacey is the human body suit, right? That this spirit is in. So think of it, it's almost like if you ever saw that movie, Men in Black, and how the aliens were inside human meat suits, I think is what they called it. It's something similar like that. Okay, so if you're not familiar with that, watch one little clip of Men in Black and you'll get the idea of what I'm talking about. So this is how they refer to that. So another way of saying this is this being that is Stacey received what she wanted. This being that is Stacey is satisfied that her wants are being met. All right. So that is taking it a step deeper as that spiritual warrior, if you want to go there. Now, I will be honest with all of you. I'm real still practicing with part number 1 still, because I'm just shocked catching myself of how often I do say the word perfect. However, I am breaking myself of that habit, because that's all it is a habit. And so I've included that in my shift empowerments to really work on that and really express the excitement for what I've received. So whenever I come across anything, like I recently got a new area rug in my house. And when I laid it out, I was like, oh my gosh, the colors on here are, and as soon as I was about to say the P word, and I stopped myself and I said, oh my word, these colors are amazing. They match everything beautifully in my living room, and it pulls everything together, right? And so that is how I've been catching myself in the middle of things. So like I said, find your own way of replacing the word perfect with more empowering and encouraging words. So use something like, oh my God, this is fabulous. This is outstanding. This makes me feel marvelous, whatever that may be. All right. And so do all of that. And even something I started doing is after or during when I'm eating, I'm now saying this was very satisfying. It reinforces feeling and being satisfied with what I just consumed. And it fills my body with joy. And that is more empowering than the 7-letter word perfect. All right. And so that is what I wanted to share with all of you here today. I want you to go ahead and try it out. See, first of all, see how often you say the word perfect. It may shock and surprise you. And then after you notice that, start replacing it with more empowering words. And I want you to see, how does it feel within your body? How does your mood start to shift when you're doing this? So do that for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of days. You may start seeing some shifts after a couple of days. And why don't you go ahead down in the comments, whether you're looking at this on my website or whether you're listening to this on YouTube, in the comment section down below, go ahead and write down your comments of how it's working for you, or even how often you caught yourself saying the word perfect anyway. And so we're all in this soup together. And that is the hack I wanted to share with you so that you can have the power to never say that P word again. And so if this is your first time with me, listening to me, you can go to thevixenacademy.com to learn more about my sassy work in feminine leadership training, the sassy and provocative way. And with that, everyone, we are complete, and namaste.